5 seconds remaining. Radiant team ban. Dire team ban. Radiant team ban. Dire team ban. Seconds remaining. Radiant team pick. Dire team pick. Good timing waits. Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining.
Doing great, Mike. Some chatter in lobby. And, I know the viewers can't see their lobby names right now, but I believe Varish is using the name the Prest Budi Awan right now. In parentheses, retiring soon. DB apparently not in the best moods. He's had some love troubles. Poor guy. And of course, on the opposite end, Motivate Trust just came back from a 3-1 finals in a different tournament. So they're feeling pretty good going into the matchup. We'll see if that momentum maintains. Of course, they just played 4 games. So there's that factor to consider as well, as AG kind of go in with a bit more rest outside of their mental state. We'll see how that fares. As you said, Mike, back and forth between Motivate Trust and Army Geniuses. This should be a pretty explosive game. I don't expect anything less from both of these teams. No, it's just a while ago we were a bit stalled out in lobby because everyone's PCs were lagging out. I believe Varish had to restart. He had a Wami was reporting it as a DDoS attack by UK. So when you mentioned UK, I just couldn't help to think. The AG boys, you know, they've split up. They're doing well on AG right now. They're doing fairly well. You know, their standing isn't too bad. They've kind of hammered in. They're starting the lower bracket almost. But if they find a 2-0 win up against Motivate Trust, there is a chance they might go up depending on how the rest of the teams fall, but it's a very slim chance. So we'll see if they can manage to find that. Motivate Trust kind of favored to start in the upper bracket now. The only series they dropped was their series against Bloom yesterday. So everyone else they've kind of beat out. We'll see if AG can provide a challenge, maybe give the first draw to Motivate Trust, but this is going to be a bit of an uphill battle for the reinvigorated Army Geniuses.
Radiant team ban. Dire team ban.
I couldn't take a peek as we had quite the stretch of a series as well, but I know it was a bit of a nail biter. There were some moments there. I believe the Masaros Tide came out. There was some back and forth uses of spells. I believe there was a moment noted by our admins who did get to watch a 3-man Ravage with BKBs up. So it was a, you know, one of those games where everything's flying around, lots of action. And it is a long series. Like a best of 5 going 4 games is still pretty long. It's a lot to play. That might be fatiguing Motivate Trust, but I don't have any specific info outside of just Bouncer's Tide being there. So we at least know that it's been banned out by Motivate Trust. Not going to be able to dip into it. They do have their comfort picks. You mentioned the Puck for Fearless. The Undying is something they play really well with as well for Q and Boombell for set 0. So a lot to sustain there. We always talk about the whole locket timing that we tend to see from Motivate Trust. One of the Undyings there, again, it's a 527 or 572 heal on a 6-second cooldown when you have the max units around. So a lot to sustain for Motivate Trust that they know how to play around with, and it does set up quite nicely for their aggression.
10 seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Dire team pick. Radiant team pick. Dragon Knight. Ten seconds remaining.
You could kind of line up for that. I think something Motivate Trust likes is they do tend to enjoy their Dawnbreaker. So that could be something that slides through. I believe that is something they picked in their last best of 5, as I do have the data up now, so I can kind of talk a little bit. They did have Dawnbreaker pop out. Could be an option for them. We know how well they play with the sustain and the timed aggression does bring out. They don't have to worry about any instantaneous cancels here as well. No Nyx, no Silencer, so you will be able to get max value from that. We already saw a Dawnbreaker today though, Mike, as you remember in our earlier series. It was a pause 1, didn't have the best impact, but I believe in the support role it does have a bit of a better time, so we'll see if Motivate Trust kind of want that here. They've got the room for it. With Dream Coil and Solar Guardian, that's actually a pretty strong combination. So I think you can play off the back of your puck, have the follow-up, sustain and damage coming through there as well, and just take control from there.
Radiant team pick. Lion. Dire team pick.
Phantom Assassin. Ten
seconds remaining.
It's an interesting pick. I don't think I expected this for Jack. He had a lot more heroes lined up. He could have gone for, you know, the heavy farming heroes were there. You called out the Dusa, could have lined up. Had the option for Terrorblade as well. No Raid King as it was banned by Motivate Trust themselves, but the PA. It could be signaling something like a Magnus last pick for Motivate Trust, but there are still 4 bans. 2 bans for AG to kind of use up. So I think they should be able to read that Magnus is going to be a strong combination for the PA. You've got RP Dream Coil, or just skewer back on the Dream Coil to break. And that alone gives you a lot of value there already. I think AG should kind of be able to stop that buff from the PA. I'm keen to see what Jackie builds up. I think the few cases we see PA come in, it has been going for the Battle Fury once more. You really can't skip that item on this hero. Just gives you a lot of damage and a lot of AoE damage coming out, which is something she lacks. AG go into the Faceless Void, so they've got Chrono Kisses coming out. They've got the DK and Dragon Form to play outside. Good amount of damage and control coming through. The bans are just flying. That's nearly instant bans coming out from Motivate Trust. Taking care of Lena, taking care of the Invoker now, removing those combinations with Faceless Void. So expecting the DK off lane for Wami, I suppose, with a mid ban out. So we'll see what the final picks are. Surprised Magnus stays in. They actually do just ban out Slardar and Veno, so you can't just take a Masaru's Magnus here and go all in PA.
10 seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Dire team pick. Beastmaster. 10 seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining.
I think with the bans from Motivate Trust, they seem to think Wami will play DK off, and you can take something more active mid. Not many strong matchups left against Puck. The Spirit Brothers are still available if you want to go that route, as they've all been left alone. Storm, Ember, Void Spirit on hand. I think you want something that plays with Chrono. So, you know, the Lena would have been perfect, but it was banned. You could maybe go for a Quap A Queen of Pain could kind of just play with a Chrono as well, have the Sonic Wave to come through. Up against the Puck, it's not too bad of a lane. And they go with the Legion Commander instead, so it will be a mid DK. Just you're relying instead on just Dragon Form from the DK for Azura contributing. Now that could be enough. Motivate Trust though, as you mentioned, Mike, really quick pace coming out with the Beastmaster. They've got early timings with the Phantom Assassin as well, as long as the laning phase goes smoothly. With Legion Commander versus PA, I don't think it's too bad for PA. Sure, the overwhelming odds will be annoying, but you can always stand back and play with daggers, so Jackie should still get some stable build-up into the Battle Fury. I lean towards Motivate Trust, and there are ways to make the Faceless Void work, but I think Motivate Trust, they've got the momentum behind them, winning out the best of 5 in another tournament beforehand. They've got this faster pace. The Beastmaster versus Faceless Void lane is not easy for Faceless Void. Time Walk can only do so much against the sustained DOT damage the boars will bring out, and that is something that is going to be extra painful for AG. However, there is counterplay on AG's side. Like, you've got the Dispel with Wami. The Roar is not going to be a major issue as long as the LC's outside Chrono as well. So even that way of breaking off the fight from Motivate Trust might not be guaranteed. Motivate Trust have better angles to take the engagements and have a pretty early power spike lined up for themselves. I could check real quick.
Have a check, John.
Let's go check. They didn't. They did play upper bracket finals 2 days ago, so they didn't have to play beforehand, which is good news. But it's still 4 games. 4 games with 2 more coming up. It can take a toll, even on the best of teams. So we'll see if they can hold up, maintain their presence. And we're seeing the old call-outs. Set0 saying AG Mamang Daya, PG Orca Mamang Daya, all the way back to PG Orca X. And Hoyo Set0, yeah. Callbacks to Season 1 DPC. Yeah, I love when Motivate Trust plays against Army Geniuses. They always talk to each other. Jackie. Can I say that? Can I say the word?
Well, what is it, John?
Contol. It's a curse.
I realize it's a curse. The problem is I don't know what it means.
Pretty bad if I recall right. You could Google. It's just your usual sea talk, It's a sign of friendship. That's what I get from all my friends. Although I haven't had AG Chris with me yet. I'm waiting for that moment. As the implications of what they say about Jackie are always hilarious to me. Liit. All they have to say is liit, and everyone knows what follows up from that. And Jackie just, he doesn't mind. You can say what you want. Size is not a factor.
This word wasn't that bad, John. I had a look. Funny thing was, the first option I got on Google was Urban Dictionary, and the definition was handsome. I was like, hold on a minute. I know that one's not right. That wasn't that bad.
Normally.
Oh, ping issues. Hopefully it's resolved for AG. You were talking about AG losing their lineup. I was having a bit of a chat. Who was it with? With Mamang Daya. He misses the guys. The UK misses the guys, but you go your own ways, and AG's been holding out as best as they can. Wami was in lobby. We were having a chat. Wami's like, yeah, we were talking about DB and Azura being named the pressed Budi Awan, retired soon. And Wami's like, give tips on love tips. I'm like, I'm not the right guy. Just play ping pong with Wami. And it's like, no one plays ping pong with me anymore. They've banned the ping pong. No ping pong. He has no friends to play ping pong with. No one. He said LYM sucks. So there's just no one to play with. I don't know. Apparently LYM sucks at ping pong. It was only UK that could give him a good match.
Oh, that's upsetting. Upsetting to hear. Because they will have to take Dota a bit more seriously now. But definitely sad to hear is no ping pong, buddy. LYM, just get good kid. Obviously, just not pulling his weight here on the Snapfire. And table tennis is a hard game, John. I mean, I tried to play table tennis back in high school, so I was a very unathletic kid.
Yeah.
Table tennis, because quite frankly, it was just the easiest thing, and I wasn't going to be good at any other sport. Let me tell you, I got completely destroyed, completely wrecked. Quite embarrassing, actually.
Yeah, that's reflective of your hand-eye coordination skills, Mike. So thanks for the heads up and explaining why our FPS games runs never went well.
More disconnections and reconnections here.
You know what? I'm gonna go out on a limb and say this is the play from AG. Wear down, motivate, trust. They went off from 4 games. Stall it out, drag it out, make them mentally, mentally impair them from the fatigue, and that's what you're doing. Maybe not on purpose, but it will play into motivate, trust that way.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. It does matter, John. The next game, you might just want to choose like an Arc Warden or something. Just get constant split push heroes and just keep dragging the game out. Just torture them on Motivate Trust.
Yeah, unfortunately, you don't have the Ballista anymore. So the infinite stall, it's not quite possible, right? Like, that is the big one. Sure, Arc Warden is there, but when you get the Ballista, that's when you know the game's not going to end in the next hour. And it just drags on. So, unfortunately, the Ultra delay isn't quite there, but you never know. Let's see if this game even goes quick as well. There's potential for it to go fast. But with the Faceless Void, that hero can turn fights, turn advantages on its head, and again, make it so that you can't really commit onto the enemy high ground, make it hard to commit for fights. So there is potential for AG to still play that next level meta of stalling out the game to impair their enemies.
Absolutely. Is that my pro on the flag, by the way, John? I'm not 100%. Who is that
Where?
on the Motivate Trust flag? On the ribbon.
Oh, yes. That is the MY gang. It is Mr. MyPro Dota 10. Happy birthday to you, sir. Can't mention him without mentioning his birthday.
No, certainly not. But one day we've actually going to find out when his actual birthday is, and I feel like we've wished him that many birthdays.
It's July.
Now.
I think it's like July 4th. I think it's the same day as me, if not within the same week. So July something.
Wow.
Yeah.
Send him a cake over next time, I guess. Fearless. A few hits there from DB, nothing to write home about. 2 for 2 trade, maybe even more. In fact, it is going to be more for Motivate, that is, as Q does snag one away from LYM and Wami. Poor old LYM, not only getting beaten in table tennis, but getting beaten in Dota 2, apparently, as he's lost half his HP. He's going to still join Wami, not make his way back to the fountain, but he is lacking a bit of regen right now. Only 2 tangos left. Be a bit of an annoying lane for him.
Will be. On the bright side, though, you had Force Strength stolen, so when that disappears, your percent HP stays the same. You'll have a good amount of HP coming back in lane. The dual lane of Snap, Legion Commander, not the most aggressive. You could try to play with Cookie down the line, but it's a tough lane to play into with an Undying, right? Q spams Decay. Wami's a strength here. He loses damage. He loses a ton of HP. And Jackie can just get the zoning he wants to keep farming up. Legion Commander can't really fully stop a PA. If things get dicey for Jackie, he can always hold back with a Stifling Dagger anyway. So I think this lane is going to be in the favor of Motivate Trust unless Army Geniuses can somehow find the levels and kind of bring it back to Jackie while Q tries to throw his body forward.
Of course, over in the mid lane, Fearless going to be against Azura. Big fan of Azura's name, by the way, John. I mean, taking you back to the Ragnarok Online days. Reminiscing every time I say this man's name. Sometimes I even cheekily say Azura. It just makes me happy, even though I'm pretty sure that's not how he wants it pronounced. Of course, the DK vs Puck matchup. Do you have feelings about this one? At least for now, it does feel like Fearless is in the lead.
It's going to be a back and forth lane. It's a steady farming lane for both sides. Once Azura hits level 3, you can sustain with the Dragon Blood, just kind of clear out the wave with Breed Fire. You have the value point in Dragon Tail to help secure the range creep at the least, and maybe just go to stun lock the Puck for a bit, but not much action here. Unless support rotation is coming out, the DK is going to get what he wants, the Puck gets what it wants, and it should just be that way. It's just the nature of the DK lane.
Top lane, DB, Varish going to be against Sent0, and of course Masaros. A bit of a problematic lane. The Faceless Void can always just time walk off the damage, but Masaros still going to be annoying, I'm sure, on the boars. This Beastmaster. You gotta watch out for that Helm of the Overlord timing, of course, as you generally just group up after you have that up, and it's kind of hard to slow down the team with the Beastmaster on it. And he's off to a great start. 13-2 in terms of CS. Not really struggling for farm here on this Beastmaster. The DB doing a decent job on the Void as well. But I think you do have to be very concerned about how well the Beastmaster farms. I mean, that Helmet the Overlord timing is quite problematic if you get it fast enough. DB, jump in with the Inkswell. Set 0, going to use the stick charges. Fairy Fire up. No bashes from DB. Very unlucky, and Varish, he won't bother with the Stroke of Fate. Instead, holding it for Masaros, but ends up whiffing it anyway.
Yeah, I think he had to hold for the defense, just trying to zone out the boars, get a bit of a slow going so DB can run out. That's the issue for the Faceless Void early on. If you play aggressive with Time Walk, you won't have hit up for a defensive Time Walk back, because it's such a long cooldown. Level 1, 24 seconds. So the window of saving yourself is fairly long, fairly short for Armagenesis, and Basro is going to be quite fine with that. Sure, your line's gone for a bit, but you can self-sustain now at level 3, level 2 boars up. Even more damage coming through, and I think props to Masaros. He's been declumping his boars really well. Varish has been constantly trying to Stroke of Fate the lane, catching Masaros in it, but it just doesn't amount to too much damage because Masaros is constant with his micro here.
Me and Varish still fine. Mid lane, Fearless. And gets stunned up by Azura. Very, very even matchup here in this mid lane. Both heroes very, very close in terms of CS. Because we have seen this matchup so many times now, it's you kind of expect it as Fearless. He is at least going to find a double stack on this small cap. So he's going to be able to get a little bit of gold away from the Dragon Knight. Nice little boost here for Fearless, as we'll be able to make it back to the laning stage as well, and Curious Creeps. Top lane, you just have a look back and it doesn't seem to be getting much easier here for DB, as it's just very tough against double balls. You can't really approach the Beastmaster anymore. You get landed an Earth Spike as well into a Hex and you might find Void being dead. It's tough, but at least Set 0 doesn't have the Hex up yet, so you're not too worried about that.
Yeah, you're not lining up for the aggression and Motivate Trust. I think the same thing that AG's experiencing up top is something Jackie's experiencing as well. Our PA also at fairly low CS, 21-1. Kind of struggling up against Wami. We expected Wami to have a bit of a slower start, but he's got the levels up. He can just be constant with harassment with the overwhelming odds, and you got the levels now on LOIM to kind of apply some hurt back. So the early presence of Q kind of cut off. They're just not able to really leverage the decay stacking up on Wami anymore. And the Legion Commander, even if you do get good decays off, again, once you drop low enough in strength, you can just heal yourself back to full percentage-wise, wait for the decay to fade, and be back in the lane with full HP.
Mid lane, maybe a bit of a setup here onto Fearless. I'm just going to join in with the little Shredder. A bit of minus armor going on to this tier 1 mid tower, and that'll escalate the tier 1 push here for Azura. It is kind of beneficial to just have the Snapfire rotate like this, just for that extra bit of damage, especially with the Sea Troop still alive. Azura, how much more do you want to tank? Well, he can tank a lot more. Actually, we'll let it go at about half HP. Forcing Set 0 to rotate here on the line to just ensure that they can't finish off this tier 1, as that would be a huge problem for Motivate. But next Dragon form, I mean, Azura, he could just keep chipping away at this.
Yeah, and Motivate Trust aren't really set up to stop the DK. They don't have the best spell spam to kind of deal with it. If you get the Undying up front, sure, taking away strength from DK is going to mitigate some of that durability, but Q is just so focused on ensuring that bot lane goes well. He might be in a bit of trouble, though.
Bot lane Q. When Tombstone was denied immediately here by LYM, but Jackie now on the chase for that snap. But with the stick charges up, LYM going to be just fine. Jackie going to back off to safety as well. Speaking of Jackie, it's not been the easiest time for this PA. And Wami, well, actually top lane, DB, he's going to be all right. He does back off to safety. And talking about DB though, Masaros is going to have level 6 soon, and that's when you start to get very concerned. It's going to go in again. Time Walk is still on cooldown for 10 more seconds. That's going to mean that we're going to have to see Azura rotate, but Fearless, he is right on target with the orb. And Azura, he's here now, but it's not looking great for them. The coil is going to land. They've got the Grimstroke down, they've stunned up Azura, and eventually they should be able to get through him, especially with the roar out from Masaros. And they will. Azura. Well, not yet. Stick charge is keeping him alive, and no, never mind. He is tanky enough to get himself out.
Yeah, the Breed Fire holding back line meant that there was no follow-up stuns. Motivate Trust will have to just kind of pull back, not overextend against DK. Azura pops that second Dragon form, now Fearless.
Yep, Pookie out. They have caught the puck, and they will burst him down. Nice little setup there from LYM and Azura. Fearless not going to be too happy about that death, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's a great pickoff for AG with the DD up. Azura can look for more kill. It's Q.
Yeah, going to show up on the Undying. He'll be another death here. LYM will take a double. And Azura's he's still got half the duration of the double damage. That tier 1 tower, it's basically as good as gone. No defending this now. Just a bit of a misplay here in mid lane from Motivate. It's going to cost them heavily.
Yeah, it opens up so much space for AG to keep being aggressive. This is going to be painful for Jackie, because as a PA, you need jungle stacks. You need some farm to flow in once a Battle Fury is up, and now with a mid-tier 1, it's going to be hard to secure that. They do manage to take the top tier 1 in exchange on Motivate Trust's side, so the top jungle opens up a bit more for PA once the lane leaving is necessary for Jackie. So far, not forced out yet. But this does, again, give AG a bit of a momentum advantage. They just need to constantly apply pressure, ensure the triangle it's not going to be safe for Motivate Trust, and just impact Jackie as much as possible.
Masaros has roar up. Barish not going to be spotted yet, but Set Zero is not going to catch him either. But they are looking towards that mid-tier 1 tower here, Motivate. You know, they help Dominator it's not too hard of a task to get this done. No creep wave available at the moment, and meanwhile, behind them, Azura. But with LYM, they are starting to set up for this defense. Problem is, Varish is going to get caught out. And they still have the roar up here on Masaros. They could just keep going. No real fear here. As LYM in the meantime, though, found Jackie. Boyle is out. They've got the DK. Azura, though, he's a very tanky target. Nice Earth Spike, but the Chrono is going to come in from DB. You haven't got the Mortimer's Kisses right now, but it won't matter. They found Fearless. Roar is out. They're going to try for the Void. DB does, in fact, go down in the end, but they will still be able to find Masaros. Really great team fight so far from Army Geniuses. And we've talked about this in the past, John, but Motivate, they seem to have some kind of issue with Army Geniuses every time they go against them. Army Geniuses, they always just look like the better team.
Yeah, they always somehow make it work, and I think it's just how familiar they are with each other, all the way back to the PG Barrack X times, PG Orca times, and they have played with each other quite enough over the years, and I think they just have the general idea of how each side wants to play the game. Good punishment coming through from AG. Basically a team wipe, Mike, if you count that earlier kill on Jackie while the mid-fight broke out. They find everything they want. They're not building up a massive lead yet on AG's side, only a 1k gold advantage so far. And Jackie is still getting a decent pace towards that Battle Fury. He did skip the power treads, but does at least have brown boots. And that B Fury is only about 500 gold away. So I think for Motivate Trust, it's just about hitting these item timings on PA, to an extent on Beastmaster as well. The Overlord, kind of running from there. They will play with a smoke. We know Chrono is down. The big team fight opportunity for AG is kind of gone. They can just try to use that Dream Coil and the early Veil on fields to get some damage done.
Smoke up, wrap around, Set Zero, Q Fearless. Trying to get into that triangle. DB might just show up at the wrong time. Meanwhile, Masaros still trying to get that tier 1 mid tower. Motivate are setting up. They'll get the vision out. They'll get the Dream Coil as well. They've caught the Void. Tombstone immediately dropped big out as well. Soulbind though with the double silence. This isn't looking good again. This could be problematic. They get the stuns out, but Fearless has been caught. You got DB in the end. The greatest of trades though, as Q is also going to go down here on the Undying. And Wami, he wants more. Masaros, he does end up killing off Barish, but He's been caught out. He'll try for the raw TP wait, and he is going to make it. They could not get a stun out in time to cancel the TP.
It's a heads up. Escape by Masaros, but AG still finds the kills they want. Sure, you're slowing down the Faceless Void, but this DK is just getting massive, and so is Wami's LC. Blade Mail up, I believe the Blink is flying out now as well. Gonna be easier to land those duels. And Legion Commander's had a really good time. Like, we've seen Wami be hit and miss sometimes. Some games he just doesn't look like he's having a good time. This time, it's at his best, and they jump Jackie. They don't have the follow-through damage. The Battle Fury is up, so the farm for Jackie escalates. This is the point where AG needs to apply some vision, needs to apply some information out, prevent PA from farming, contest stacks, and control the jungle. So this is where some of that more disciplined playstyle has to come true. So far, they haven't really managed to get too many forward wards. They are watching Roshan, one obs watching their own triangle with the other. But I think now you need some forward vision to kind of contest the triangle.
At least for Motivate's sake, DB's having a pretty rough time. Thing is though, it doesn't feel like you need him to have damage anyway. Just the Mortimer's Kisses alone proved to be enough during these Chronos, and Wami so far has had a great game. Well, he could transition to the carry if he wants to, with enough dual damage. Like, they're staring down Jackie right now. That's the target they love to pick on. He won't make the jump in though, not in that mid lane. Just about to overtake Azura in terms of that net worth board.
It's a bit worrying how much Jackie's allowed to farm up, right? Like, sure, he's only getting power treads right now, but the fact that he had a pretty slow lane, building up to number 2 now, is of great concern. AG with the smoke out. I believe that was under vision in bot jungle. So, Motivate Trust just stand their ground on the triangle high ground. AG, again, with no forward wards, can't really do much. Are forced to respawn top, but even Masaros knows that he should just play back and might not catch anyone big.
Masaros, that is a big enough target. Mortimer's Kisses will be expanded, and this will still be a nice rotation. Motivate, however, they look like they want to try and force a fight, and they do get Wami. So not too bad of a trade for either side. AG, I'm not 100% sure if they actually got more gold killing off Masaros. Should be pretty even though between the two off lanes.
It looked like slightly more for AG, but I swear to goodness this graph, this fight recap is a bit wrong time. Yeah. So it's likely more even than the fight recap shows. I'm certain that there was an EXP change in favor of Motivate Trust as well. I think the key thing is put your pause once you're farming. Issue is DB does not farm as fast as a PA. And DB has to be a bit cautious. They have defensive wards, so
thinking about the chrono, but yeah.
Quite lined up. When it comes down, you play the slower pace against PA, you're not keeping up in farm. Right, DB's lagging behind by 1.6k, Jackie's going to widen that gap as the game goes on, and your Void just doesn't flash farm. So I think for AG, they've got to find a way to compensate, keep forcing fire, keep pressuring PA. That's the key thing to do. Just jump PA, take control of the triangle. They still have not been able to walk up to the triangle area. Get some forward wards. Whereas you look at Motivate Trust, they've got a forward ward in top jungle. They've got Hawks to play with. So much info for them to just work this map to their advantage.
Bot lane going to be forced in here from Army Geniuses. The same will happen at top, Motivate. They do have the Helm of the Overlord on the way for Masaros. That's going to be a pretty big spike for them. Jackie pretty close to the Desolator. They might start looking towards that Roshan soon. Zura, though, going to have his own BKB up on the Dragon Knight, and he's still just done a great job of staying on top of the net worth board. Which is not something you see too often against Jackie, but Zura's doing just, yeah, a fantastic job of making sure he keeps that farm up. I guess considering how poor of a game DB's having in terms of the farming game, it's kind of important you do have that backup. The Dragon Knight can certainly transition later on into that pos 1 role if need be. say it's not quite as great as, say, a PA, but, you know, sometimes you've got to do what you got to do. See how it pans out. Motivate. They're grouped up, they look like they might smoke, and they will commit. Question is, who do they find?
Could just find a road right into the pit. No info out from AG, no wards to spot. The scan is there right on time, but the Roach is melting really fast. I don't know if they can actually run up in time. They have the chrono. No, they're not gonna make it. So first Roach going away of Motivate Trust. Nice Aegis coming out for Jackie, but the double damage goes the way of DB. So in true fashion, DD spawns right after, but DB takes it. You gotta give out for the guy who's being called Depressed Budia 1 right now. Give him a good time. He does get something to compensate.
This should make my life easier.
I mean, geniuses though. Even though the Roshan was just taken, they're gonna go for a smoke off. Just hoping for a quick pick off. They are running on towards Fearless, but he's going towards his own triangle, so he might just make it out in time as Wami. That big Blink dual initiation, but kind of easier said than done. Fearless still hasn't shown himself to Army Geniuses. Said AG, they're going to start slowly heading up top, but the smoke is going to wear off and they are going to be underneath Radiant Vision. If they do try to go towards that Radiant team, and yeah, it looks like they're just going to give up on it. Smoke not going to work out. AG, they'll just sit back and wait for Motivate to come to them. Thing is though, Motivate may do so. I mean, you've still got the Aegis, you've got the Desolator on the way now for Jackie. Pretty nice power spike, and they are looking toward that tier 2 tower now. Zura forced to pop the Dragon Pop to try and defend. And you might just wait that out. Forced to fight right after as Wami. Well, he's been caught out by Fearless, trying to go after him instead. Committed the duel, but wasn't able to find the kill on his own. Fearless, I mean, with the Dream Coil, it was kind of wasted, I suppose, as Jackie was unable to close the gap, but it won't matter because now LYM is caught out. That'll be a Snapfire kill. Motivate should be able to at least go for that top tier 2 now that that Dragon form is about to wear off.
Yeah, it's all coming back to the Vision game. Motivate Trust, with all the wards they have, with all the Hawks they have, they've got a lot of control on the map, and they're just able to dictate how these fights go. AG, they might have the kill lead, and they have a very marginal gold lead. Jackie is #1 now on that fort, and they just haven't done enough to stop the PA, I think. So for AG, there's a lot of pressure now on trying to get some big chronos, some big duels out. Follow-up damage mainly coming in from LYM's Kisses. That's your best bets of these heroes at the moment. Top tier 2, as you mentioned, Mike, still gonna be shoved in. At very least, Varish can kind of clear out the creep wave with a stroke of fate, but the Ancient Creep and the Boris will still make short work of that objective.
Yep, they do it. Right, not gonna break out Azura. He was ink swelled up, but let's make the jump in. Was Earth spiked instead. They'll go onto Masaros. Chrono is available. The silence is there from Fearless. Meanwhile, Barishi just gets shredded by Jackie. But now they got the stun out. They might be able to get through that Aegis before the Chrono needs to be expended. But no, he does Blink Strike away. Buyback is forced there by Barish. And Army Geniuses. Yaris 5, they're still holding on to that top tier 2, but it's hanging on by a thread. 58 HP. They'll go for a smoke instead. I mean, they've got to make this buyback worth it somehow.
The smoke under Vision, though.
Oh, never mind though. Fearless, he gets caught anyway. Bit problematic. We're on Vision. Fearless maybe just kind of not paying attention there as he does get caught out, and that'll be some free jewel damage to Wami.
I didn't figure they'd find anything for their trouble. They didn't find Jackie's courier. So holding back the Ag's timing for the PA just a bit longer. Unfortunate for Motivate Trust. AG just kind of need to keep playing. With the puck down, they don't have to worry about something highly mobile up front. They still have the chrono. He's been very patient for that spell use and kind of hold out. So not finding any more than that. They do at least plant a forward ward now in the triangle. They have a way of monitoring where Jackie's at. And they can kind of play against that. Maybe look for a smoke play onto the triangle next. Down the line when the smokes are back up. Jackie, though, being very confident against Wami, but Wami is fairly tanky. the blade mail. Not the easiest target to burst down. Still a lot of his HP going down there. AG scaling on the DK mode. We are seeing Azura go for the AC next. So he is going to have more right-click damage, more protection from the PA, and some minus armor of his own. I think the Ags will have to come out if you want to hit that spike, but AG, they smoke, and this time it's not spotted under vision.
They go. Aegis 4 seconds away from expiring. Instead, however, they are going to find Azeroth, so they'll go after the Beastmaster. You would have loved to catch PA, but they can't be choosers. Geniuses. Sort of pick off there on the offlane Beast. Meanwhile, the rest are still having a look around. Jackie gonna run into OIM. In the meantime, Wami looks like he was trying to set up a duel attempt, but won't quite find one. And now Fearless commits the coil. It will land onto the LC, but they're not gonna be able to catch them out. In fact, DB's now shown up with Chrono available, though he gets used up, but it won't matter. Jackie does go down, and Fearless will as well. LYM just cleaning up onto the Undying. They go and they'll find another.
That was massive from Wami. That was a soulbind duel. I think that's the first time I've actually seen a soulbind duel win. Right. Wami got 40 damage right off of that, straight up to 80 now. That is just nutty. And Motivate Trust just getting caught off guard. It looked a bit awkward because Wami revealed early by the mid-tier 2, but they still overcommit, and AG cleaned up a 3k lead their side. As they found that PA kill, they can push onto the tier 2 tower. Azura just machine guns down. What a press the attack. This Dragon Knight's just way too big. Has the Hyperstone up. AC not too far off, Mike. And that scaling you were talking about in DK, it's about to be online.
That it is. Really, Azura's just done a fantastic job this game. Motivate Trust not anywhere near out of it yet, but they have a timing they wanted to hit, and right now, looking a bit rough as they're 5k behind. Again, AG has tended to be the bane of Motivate Trust's existence every pro series that goes by. As mid lane, who have they caught? Wami? He's going to be alright. Has the shards up. No problem to just run away from the coil. Motivate, you can kind of tell they're getting a little bit desperate for a good team fight now. Still unable to find it. Brighter side, seems like Jackie is going right into an Ag Scepter, as meanwhile top lane, Fearless. Uh-oh, getting caught out again here by the LC and Azura. Wami up to 100 dual damage now.
He's had a fantastic time on that Legion Commander, controlling the lane well, hitting these spikes, setting up for the team. The double blinks on AG are just catching Motivate Trust off guard. And I think for Motivate Trust, somehow they're having vision issues. Like earlier on, they had all these really nice aggressive wards. They've had Hawks to help them out. Now it's kind of falling flat. I think they need to just play where they're protected. Play where the Hawks are out. Play where the wards are out. Get some sentries on as well to take out some of that control from AG. AG, they'll just keep playing aggressive like this.
Try Wami. Got Jewel up in form. Masaros, he's going to show very soon, I think. Not soon enough, though. AG going to back off. Bot lane, Motivate, they've rotated down. DB showing himself on the creep wave there for a moment, but he is going to back off at the right time. Not getting too greedy there on the Void. Not get punished down to this bot lane, but now maybe they intercept him in the triangle. No, even then, he just knows to back off and rejoin his team. And it just goes back to these two teams scrimming with each other so much that they just know exactly what each other's going to do. Army Geniuses not falling for any of the Motivate Trust tricks so far.
Yeah, they're holding their own. Motivate Trust does find a good courier snipe, so the AC of Azura is held back for 2 minutes, almost 3 minutes now. Gonna be awkward not having that major item spike after expending the gold, but you don't lose heroes. So you're still kind of happy with this for Army Geniuses. TD up and running on DB. That's a bit of a mouthful. They take control of the triangle. Again, playing where they're safe. Same thing goes for Motivate Trust after getting caught out a couple of times. They're just playing where they have wards. So the bot lane is protected, the bot jungle is open. That's where they'll just farm up. A minute and a half till the next Rosh. And for both sides, that's going to be a big Rosh on. Free Ag Shard on Rosh number 2. The team fight potential for Army Geniuses is a bit stronger right now, though. With a Chrono, with the kisses coming through in such a tight spot, I think they've got to be careful. And oh, another great duel.
Oh, Fearless, he gets caught out another time. All right, even more dual damage to Wami, and we talked about the LC potentially carrying the game to boot, John. This is getting to that point where you start to get worried about how much damage Wami can deal now. Yeah, a couple more duels and concerning. Mind you, this is before he has the max duel up, so he's not even getting maximum efficiency from this damage yet. Very, very soon he'll get even more. Motivate. All eggs in the Jackie basket at this point, because Fearless is just not going to have a game on the puck anymore. Jackie, he's still trying to work on towards his BKB. Thing is, if he gets dueled with the Blade Mail active on Wami, he's just going to kill himself. But he can't really fight without the BKB up.
Yeah. I think he's going to need some protection here to prevent that from happening. And that is going to help the cause. His farm is almost there, but not quite. Roche in 10 seconds. Oh, Chrono. And Duel.
Committed. They've got Masteros and Jewel on Fearless. My goodness. Wow. I mean, they're just completely outplaying Motivate here. Even more dual damages now. The Roshan spawns up instantly as they walk in. Perfect timing from Roshan. That'll be a nice, easy free Roshan for the side of our AG.
And we were commenting about this earlier from AG not having good wards, but that laning ward set them up. Set 0, he's got the blink to try to sneak in.
He's going to try, John. There's a bit of a TP situation going down to the bot lane. I don't want to miss this Roshan play, though. He's in. He might get it. Set 0. Oh, he's got the Aegis. Oh, thank goodness we didn't look bot. He's going to die. What does it matter, though? He made a great play. Who got the shards? Oh, he got the shards as well. Oh, you love to see it. You love to see it there. Set 0 with the plays.
Oh, man. He got the Roche kill. He got the Aegis. He got the shard. So the gold, the Aegis, and the shard went their way. Everything going for Motivate. Trust. Army Genius is getting caught off guard by that flank. And you get punished. Been so on point even beforehand. Like, they had these really great lane wards which enable a Chrono duel. Now, without Aegis, it gets a bit dicey going high ground. They will have Chrono back up in about 50 seconds. They've got a wait bit here.
Freest duel of his life. And Fearless kind of walks the other way. Just, I can't help you, sir. However, Fearless might be in a similar scenario as soon as he does get scouted by the stroke. But they won't have a lockdown. So, I mean, Jackie, again, this game is on his shoulders right now for Motivate. Still top of the net worth board by a mile. Have the BKB up now. It's about that time where you've got to see Jackie getting involved. I mean, this is that point. You're not going to get too much stronger as the PA. He can't necessarily 1v5 them. He will have to wait for the rest of his team, but see what he can do. It looks like they are going to slowly start setting up for a tier 2 defense, if not a high ground defense here for Motivate. Start out, they are in. Jackie trying to go to off DB, but the Chrono is there. BKB will stop a lot of the damage that is coming in from those kisses. Jackie jumping out, but look at the damage in the back lines. Fearless and Masros are both gone. Wami is just charging them right now. Just charging him.
Yeah. They still find a great kill. Sure, you save Jackie, but without your puck, without the Beastmaster, you don't have the control to get the jump in. And the high ground will be slowly sieged. Buyback forced out from Fearless, so they've got some options to defend, but no Dream Coil makes this tough.
There's X out. Who are we jumping on? Jackie. He's got one. It's LYM down. He will blink strike right back out. In fact, here we go again. Back in. Not quite. Just snipe one support. Get rid of that damn Snapfire. And they've seen enough. And you can't forget they don't have an Aegis to play with thanks to Set 0. They're kind of forced to play a little bit more carefully now.
Yeah, they've got to take it slow. I think if DB had his MKB up in that first Chrono, things would be a lot different. The damage would be flying through. Farmer faces Void. Only comes in now. So rather unfortunate timing. Not meant to line that up with the aggression. But HG don't mind. They still have a 9k lead despite being behind Jackie. Everyone else is suffering on Motivate Trust side. As you said, Mike, it's all about It's all eggs in the Jackie basket, and he has been getting some good pickoffs, but the follow-through just doesn't feel amazing yet. He does have a good source of break, but a fan of knives, so he can kind of just try to kill off the DK while it's softened up, kill off the Face's Void while he's also softened up, but it's so difficult even to commit because of that chrono. I mean, even if you are blocking the magic damage with the kisses, with the MKB up on DB, he'll be able to rip through. You've got the Black Dragon form on Azura now, Ags flying out for the DK, so the scaling on the DK is online as well, Mike. He's got a lot of damage coming out. I think the next thing you might want to go for is maybe a Silver Edge, and after that, you're good.
You know, it's going to be a very painful time now for Motivate, that's for sure. See, when they want to try and force high ground, I mean, you might be kind of just waiting for the next Roshan now as Army Geniuses. You just saw Jackie able to pick off people with the Aghanim Scepter very easily, so you don't want to risk throwing this game back the way of Motivate. AG, maybe a big smoke up here as 5. But no, they just remain as a group, not knowing where the rest of Motivate are. No smoke yet. Meanwhile, Motivator basically doing the same thing, just sticking as 5, not feeling 100% safe by themselves. Keep in mind, Jackie does not have buyback gold right now. He just buy out the Basher, so if he gets picked off, that is guaranteed high ground. He's well and truly too far away for AG to really reach him.
And just kind of tempering themselves back here on both sides, maybe waiting for that next Roshan before going for some big plays. Really even in terms of just taking control of the map, both sides avoiding quite nicely. The build-up is feeling a lot better for AG because, again, despite having Jackie take everything, maybe farm back to buyback, AG has more scaling cores. DK is already up, has 1.5k in the bank for the next item. Our Face's Void is just trying to go for the Satanic, sustain himself in the 1v1 fight, and that's really going to make all the difference when, you know, you've got the Bash on demand, you've got lifesteal. It's going to be hard for a PA to just completely burst you down, which is where the PA really shines. It does not actually long fight because it doesn't have a source of Bash on its own. Bash is going to have an internal cooldown that you aren't really going to enjoy up against Face's Void. So AG going to go for a tier 2 tower bot, no defense coming out from Motivate Trust. And that's your last outer tower here. So if the high ground does happen at some point, AG is going to have every Rax that they could take.
Are they going to commit though? The rest of AG are kind of sitting back in that mid lane right now. Motivate. Kind of roaming the map. Smoke up now. They feel confident. They want to try and force a fight. So no buyback available on Jackie, so it could be dangerous timing.
And they see DB.
Run right into DB. No, but he is under vision, so the instant Hex is there, but the press the attack, and now Wami, he's the duel out. Chrono committed DB, gonna try and help finish the duel. In fact, never mind, he was going after the Undying instead. Meanwhile, DB now gone down. Wami is gonna drop along with him. Azura, he's gonna keep trying to fight this one out. They do at least get Fearless, and man, look at the damage output. Azura is just getting right through him. Jackie, he tried to jump in onto LYM, but he could not get the Snapfire, and that'll be Jackie's life down the drain. He does have buyback now. It's a very scary scenario though for Motivate, and I think that Void Chrono kind of messed them up a little bit.
Yeah, they clumped up. They thought they had enough damage. They didn't expect the Legion Commander to be there with a Dispel. And quick thinking coming out from our Voids, just the Chrono out, set up for the counter fight, get the kisses flying through. The BKBs were not able to fly out. And the high ground just opens up. They've got buyback their heroes, but they know they can't really do much with the buybacks coming out without the puck buying back as well. They're going to have to surrender one set of racks. AG, they are down to 2 big cores. I don't think they can really commit for more, and they'll play it safe, pull back, backdoor protection kicks in anyway. They didn't have a creep wave, so they are going to have to just, you know, take what they can get, reset, but they set themselves up for a good time now. One lane constantly shoved in. Roshan, we're going to find that respawn in about 2 seconds. And if AG are lucky, it could be a really fast respawn. Unfortunately, they're not. It's going to be 2 minutes on to respawn, so a bit more of a wait there. They have more items flowing in though. Heaven's Halberd up on Wami. Disarm up to deal with Jackie's PA. That's something the PA does not enjoy. Once you disarm her, she's a sitting duck in the middle of that fight, and it's going to be really easy to manage. You also manage to finish up the Satanic on DB. She's going to be very safe in the front line. Killing him off now when the Chrono flies up, it's going to be a harder task, as he's got the damage and sustain to trade hits with the PA now.
Definitely, again, scary times to motivate. AG. Fearless. Link in, but won't go for the Dream Coil. Of course, he was on his own. Roshan up in 1 minute, that is. Still, they are going to force a fight, it seems. Like, as they do take that Radiant Triangle. D wards out as well here from DB. In the meantime, Wami, oh, he's been caught out. Hex is there. Jackie, he's going to try and blow up the LC, and he does. DB trying to sneak up from the backside. Does still have Chrono. Nice little arcane push away from Z0. Oh, and a creep block. DB getting very unlucky there. As now the dagger comes out. They got the Hex off, and they've got the Void. No. Oh, he doesn't get the time walk off in time. They even found the Snapfire. That'll be a third. The Aeon Disc will only last so long. LYM will drop, and Roshan's up in 13 seconds.
Yeah, that's really big for Motivate Trust. Army Genius is getting a bit hasty. I don't think they can actually take these fights without Wami, right? Like, they need that the attack to break off. They need to themselves from the chain stuns coming through with that little window of spell immunity. Motivate Trust, they see the Roche number 3. She's Ag's Blessing as well on top. A lot that can come through now for the side of Motivate Trust. They could just get the Ag's upgrade on their proc, BKB Piercing Dream Coil, going to short work against the spell immunity on the side of AG, and Fearless does pick it up. So massive swing back side of Motivate Trust, 15 to 31, but only a 4K advantage for AG, as they're going to be playing on back foot now. Mind you, their high ground defense is really strong, Mike. Chrono is a spell that has no real counter. Right, like that's something that always comes through, just like to an extent RP and Black Hole, because they pierce through spell immunity in such a wide AoE. So I think that's something AG can use on the high ground defense. They just need to find that angle and protect Wami, or at least, you know, not have Wami die solo. Use a Legion Commander at this point.
Look at that, John. Look what Rune spawned after the Roshan. There you go. Oh, Wami. Cautious there from Wami. Motivate Trust. Get the bottle up there for Jackie. They'll hold on to the DD rune for now. Of course, they're not guaranteed the next victory just because they have the Aegis up. It's still a very back and forth between these two teams, but they have at least evened out the net worth. Looking at DB to land a massive Chrono this next fight. So we've seen AG, like, if they can get the initiation off, then generally speaking, they look like the better team. Problem is, Motivated the ones getting these initiations going. And here we go again, another 5-man smoke. Seems like AG are very well aware that this is happening right now. Motivate, they're not going to get anything out of this. Not quite yet, anyway.
Yeah, I like that AG's playing safe. You know, they can play high ground a little bit better. They might be willing to just surrender their outer towers. I mean, they're not losing too much. They're bot lane shoving in because they've got the moon creep advantage, and they will go for their own smoke here on AG's side.
Popped. Still, the high ground is being held by Motivate. It's a bit of a hard fight to try and initiate into. The DB, though, is going to go into set 0, but they have hexed up the Void. DB still alive, however. Might be able to get the Chrono off. In fact, he doesn't need it. What? He's just man-fighting Jackie. He's got the MKB up. Masaros gets Aurora off onto Wami, but Jackie has been left behind. They are still trying. In fact, never mind. He can get the damn job done himself onto DB and Wami. He just shreds through them. A triple already for Jackie, and he might find more. LYM is going to try and TP out in time. He will make it. Barish, I can't say the same for him. I mean, one life went down so quick, but then no chrono came out.
Yeah, the follow-up silences were really good coming out from Fearless, and now AG don't have buybacks on their two big cores. They can buy back the Wami, but without the Void or the DK, this is not a fight they can easily take. Their mid-ranks will fall. The side of Motivate Trust, they could just gun for the tier 4s, and it looks like they will.
Yeah, plenty of time without those two cores available. Plenty of damage. Off the tier 4 they go. Seen this many a time here from Motivate as Wami. He's jumped in. He will not get the duel off that he wanted. The Blade Mail now on cooldown to make matters worse as Jackie going to re-jump in onto LYM. He's going to be able to survive at least for a bit, but not for too long. As the Ancient is going to go down, Jackie, he'll go a bit of a hunt. And in the end, Motivate Trust, they make the draft work in classic Motivate fashion.
Oh man. Army Jeans has had
Radiant's top tower is under attack. 5 seconds remaining. Dire team ban. Radiant team ban. Ten seconds remaining. Radiant team ban. Dire team pick. Radiant team pick. Undying waits. Ten seconds remaining. Radiant team pick.
I think they've got to clean up execution in the late game. Looked like they had their laning phase settled out for them. They had mid-game kind of locked in. But towards the late game, there was just way too much flying out. Jackie had so much damage coming through. They were still able to handle the PA, but there was a lot of counter control coming out from Motivate Trust, like the Dream Coil to break, the silences coming through from Fearless's. BKBs could only hold for so much long, and Wami kind of distanced himself in the last fight. He couldn't get off the press the attack to purge off some of the silences on DB for him to cast the chrono on the second life of Jackie, which could have turned the game. So it just that kind of snap decision making has to be tightened up from AG. We'll see if they'll be under as much pressure. I think there was a lot of pressure for them to play a bit quicker there, and they just didn't manage to get into the high ground at the time they wanted to. Motivate Trust, they always kind of find themselves in that situation, right, where their backs are against the wall, they're at a massive deficit, and they still somehow eke out the win. I think AG has to be ready for that and kind of plug in the hole so that Motivate Trust has nothing to kind of sneak around in.
Dire team ban. Radiant team ban. Dire team Radiant team ban. Dire team ban.
Yeah, I mean, it just has really good push tempo and really good early presence, so I think that's why it can be hard to play against, and it works so well together. AG, of course, getting Terrorblade really early on can kind of leave it vulnerable. I think right now Motivate Trust might be able to pick up something in the offlane to punish the Terrorblade. Legion Commander could work, as we've seen Wami play it. I think for Motivate Trust, it could be something Fearless pulls out as well to kind of overwhelm, fight against the illusions, even cancel off the reflection early on with press the attack. So that could be one way for Motivate Trust to counteract it. They could just give Monstrous the DP as well, just run it off lane, get something else for Fearless on mid that has high burst potential, high jump potential up against the Terrorblade. And I think that's what AG are kind of expecting now. They ban out the Storm still, a Fearless special. For Motivate Trust, of course, banning out some mids, trying to get a good matchup for themselves, taking care of the Invoker and Lina. Got to see what is lined up next. Still a lot of flex, as you called, Mike. Monkey King can still be our pause 4 here. We have seen Motivate Trust. They're one of the teams that do prefer Monkey King support, just because of the vision advantage it does provide him, and they can give Jackie something that farms a little bit faster, scales up a lot better. So that is something in their repertoire. They do ban a Puck now as well. We go to Shadow Demon first. So if they have the Terrorblade, just steal the illusions back. You have a great slow, great purge in the demonic purge now as well to kind of keep that Terrorblade locked in. I like the Shadow Demon pick, kind of sets up for them, gives them some good control options. Disruption into the Jingu could be really good, into the Boundless could be really good. Disruption into Silence from the DPs there as well. You can kind of stack that control and kind of force these fights your way early on.
Dire team pick. Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining.
They could go back to the Legion Commander for Wami. I think it also works out for Army Geniuses. Gives them a good Dispel to protect their Terrorblade. They will opt to go for the Void Spirit first, so getting their mid matchup early on. Solid Spirit hero to start off with. We've seen a lot of players kind of leverage that early mobility. Laning phase into mid game might be a bit slow. That tends to be the shortcoming of the Void Spirit. The initial items does take some farming up. The Axe timing can be a bit slow, just by the Void Spirit not being the best flash farmer out of all the Spirit Butters. So it can be a bit slow going, but I think Azure has shown us that his Void Spirit does perform to a great level. Motivate Trust, though, going back to the tried and tested Jackie hero, Dusa comes out. So they will be running the Monkey King support. And with Dusa, they've just got that win condition towards late game. Now, mind you, it is Dusa versus Terrorblade once more. We've seen this matchup before. Terrorblade comes online a lot quicker. Metamorphosis does allow it to have some better damage spikes. And for the Dusa, in this case, you will have to have an item advantage. You do not want farm parity. We've seen that before. At farm parity, the Dusa lags behind because Metamorphosis is so much stronger. Your durability doesn't feel that great because Terrorblade just rips right through you. So I think for Jack, he's going to have to farm his heart out, as we saw in Game 1. And that is something Jackie excels at. So we'll see if AG will bring the pressure on that Dusa.
Team ban. Dire team ban. Seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining.
I feel like they might actually just run the DP off play and get something else for Fearless Mid. That could be the possibility because they're banning out the Ember Spirit on AG side. They're having a really long think as to what to do next because that flex is still there for the DP. And we've seen Motivate Trust do that before. They used to run Masaros offlane DP a lot more often. They always give Fearless a much more momentum-based hero down mid. They could kind of be sneaky here in Motivate Trust and just go for something with push. The Leshrac would have worked. They could still line up for, say, a DK. So DK DP, level 6 timing, shove in the lane. Gives you your stun as well you're looking for there, Mike. Not in wide AoE. You might be able to get away with just a single target stun in this game. You don't have the options for wide control. Mars, Tidehunter banned out. See the Night Stalker banned out as well. Kind of protect the backline here on Motivate Trust. We'll have to see. It's still very flex for Motivate, whereas for Army Geniuses, they are looking for the Wami hero. No option for the LC. And there is the option for Timbersaw. I don't know if it's a really good Timbersaw game. With a DP on hand, with a Shadow Demon to disrupt you, it can be pretty hard to just frontline. Demonic Purge as well to get you slowed down, and that could make it hard to line up for the chains as well. But laning-wise, it's also not the best time. Mystic Snake makes it very hard for you to maintain your spell spam, so you're going to be relying much more on your Soul Ring, and that only gives you so much mana. There's a window there for Jack to keep farming up.
10 seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining.
Yeah, it was a rough one. I think for Fearless, perhaps it doesn't really give you some flashy plays, but the DK could be a stable foundation. You could still flex it to run the DP mid, or just run DK mid, DP off lane. Still, again, getting that level 6 spike for a great push coming through. AoE control's not going to be amazing, though. Not much left on mid to give you that great AoE hold. Maybe something left field like, say, the Outworld Devourer could work. OD will give you control. These heroes aren't high int scaling heroes. You get some good damage for the Terrorblade scaling up as well. It can be slow going, which is the issue with the OD pick. They go with Bloodseeker instead. So Masaros Bloodseeker, they will stick to the Fearless Death Prophet mid. And that's interesting. That's a direct counter to Pangolier. So they just want to ensure the roll's not going to be an issue. It's something with Bloodseeker, right? Like, even if you counteract an enemy core, it always feels like the hero has very specific timing. So I want to see Motivate Trust play to those timing strengths. Just go online early, play your 4 Protect 1 fast, and have Jackie go for maybe a faster build-up. Say Dragonlance, Manta, or Dragonlance SNY. You can actually join some fights early if you have a Mask of Madness on top of that. If you do play the slow game, you risk not having great scaling on the DP and the Bloodseeker, whereas for AG, you've got great scaling coming out from Void Spirit. The Terrorblade, again, at farm parity, is going to have a better time, and the Pangoliers are going to be a bit of an issue. Wami could always farm up for a Diffusal, amp up the mana burn on the Deucer, just ensure the shield's not going to be a factor. And that is one way to kind of shut down Jackie here. I would actually go with AG. I think their timings with the Terrorblade are a lot tighter. They're going to be able to take some really good fights here. Their AoE control is also lacking, right? But they at least have the cookies for area denial. They've got the Tombstone to make Motivate Trust think twice about where they fight. And Pangolier can provide them some of that AoE control with the Rolling Thunder. So I think AG has that earlier spike lined up. For Motivate Trust, they're going to have to stall for the Dusa. But saying that, though, and that does play into how Motivate Trust likes to play anyway. They like to get big on Jackie, sacrifice their farm for that one win condition, and Jackie always delivers. So draft-wise, I'll lean Army Geniuses. Execution-wise, though, I think Motivate Trust, they've just got something they enjoy playing.
Let you be right this time around, unless both teams just lose by both disconnecting or something. It'd be pretty hilarious. I'd love to see that, but not really, considering we are at the end of the group stage. Yes, John, what is it?
I'm wondering what does happen if, say, both teams disconnect but are unable to reconnect. What happens? Do you just call that? Do you reschedule? Do you just unpause the game and watch the creeps push and figure out who wins from natural push? Like, what happens there? I am curious if that's covered by rules. Well, I don't think we'll ever see it, but that's a fascinating thought experiment, isn't it, Mike?
Don't hold your breath, John. We might see it. This is SCA after all. You never know. So, Jackie, giving the shout-outs. Very nice to see. I'm not sure what Vrish is saying. Jackie's not too happy about it. But Zero, meanwhile, they're going to get caught out. It's all a bit of a bait, it seems. The old chat not going to pay off for Motivate. Zora. Gonna take the first blood. Jackie was trying to be nice. Jackie was trying to be nice, and yet there you go, Jackie. He's pointing it out. They got baited by the all chat.
You gotta love it. AG, Motivate, Trust. I love it when these guys fight each other. They've just got so much to say. And for some reason, Risman gets raised up. Well, why does Jackie have to bring in Risman?
It's always Risman. I'm not sure. He always gets involved in the conversation somehow. I don't know what he said either. That's the worst part. I mean, I'm pretty sure. Is it Indonesian they're speaking, John?
Yes, that is
right.
Bahasa.
Okay. So I'm sure somebody in Twitch chat will be able to translate, and maybe you can have a watch of the Twitch chat, John, so you can translate. You know what? Don't even do that, John. You're not going to be able to translate later on. It's fine. 5 minutes later, it's just no point. You've got to do a better job, John. I can't have you here without these translations.
Well, unfortunately for you, Mike, I barely can translate Filipino. Asking me to translate Bahasa on top is going to be a bit of a challenge. Still, what is challenging are the lanes as well. AG, you see LYM already copying some hits from Q. He is a very effective Monkey King. He does have that Jingu leveled up, so he can trade hits favorably. It's going to be tough for AG to kind of angle themselves there. Of course, he is helping out Jackie and Medusa. We talked about Wami on the Pangolier. Maybe having some control once the Rolling Thunder is up. Maybe looking for a defusal build to melt Jackie's mana down the line. Could be something he goes for. Pocketing his level 1. The lane again is not the smoothest. You can play around with Swash, and I think you might have to emphasize the Swash for the lucky shot in this case, just to prevent Jackie from farming up. But you're already seeing Jackie leverage his level 1 presence up there in CS. Wami not, again, able to contest too much. Heck, not even able to CS himself all too well here.
Yeah, with the base damage of Medusa is kind of ridiculous. The 61 at level 2 doesn't feel very fair. Still, mid lane. Zura against Fearless, Void Spirit versing Death Prophet. During the draft stage, John, I did say I didn't think Fearless would be able to really maximize the Death Prophet's utility in this mid lane against the Void Spirit. We'll see what he can get done. Dissimulate is on cooldown for now, so he can get a bit of damage out with the Spirit Siphon. Thing is, every time it's off cooldown, you're essentially just wasting a charge of that Siphon, so there's really no point to it. But I suppose if you can wait it out, you can get something done.
Yeah, and I like this from Fearless. He holds the lane, clears out the creep wave, so it's going to be shoved in. Walks out for his own water rune refill. He's going to be having a good time. Azura does manage to get the same done. He's going to hold the lane. I think for the most part, this is going to be a very even lane. You can't really get too aggressive against a DP. He has self-sustain with Spirit Siphon. Once that's level 2 at level 4, you can't really commit. She's going to have enough charges to live through, and I think for Azura, just focus on that CS. Keep building up. Try to rush your level 6. I think that's when the jump in from the Void Spirit becomes a lot better. Fearless might have the Ghost up, but the damage output of that is a bit slower to kind of rip through there.
Yeah. Last lane, of course, top lane, you've got DB and Varish against Masaros. And of course, Set Zero. The Bloodseeker, I mean, you and I, we have very negative thoughts about this hero, but Masaros, we'll see if he can make it work. But now he is CSing just fine and doesn't feel like he's going to be too slowed down. Varish, really no impact on the Undying right now in this safe lane. I mean, he's completely out of mana. Does have one Mango left and does have more on the way very soon, but could be another 30 to 40 seconds before they're out. In fact, DB now. Also going to be careful about how far he goes. When you get disruption to Bloodright, it is a fair amount of damage, and you can't forget the Shadow Poison as well. It is going to start to add up onto DB. Bot lane though. Q ends up going down. Wami able to pick up the kill. And the OIM barely able to get out with his life intact.
Great back and forth trade. You have to respect the minus armor coming through with Lulu Shredder and how much the Pangolier can play off the back of that swashbuckle is physical damage. Melt through Monkey King early on. Monkey, 6 armor goes down to 0 when full level Shredder is expended. So you will win out in that exchange. Still, I don't think Jackie's going to mind too much. Has a lot of CS going his way. And Wami still kind of lagging behind compared to our Terrorblade, where it's a lot more even with the Terrorblade and Bloodseeker. And there's that combination with the Blood Riot.
They go, DB. Taking a substantial damage. The body blocks are there. DB, he's going to be able to get through. Scary moment. In fact, speaking of scary, Varish is chasing down Set Zero, but the salve is out. Looks like Set Zero may make it, but no, it's cancelled. He's in trouble now. Still trying to juke out. In the meantime, DB still dropping very low, but does get salved by Varish. and somehow Set Zero gets himself out of there. In fact, he's still around trying to cancel the salve of DB, and eventually might just deny himself off to the tier 2 tower. But DB trying to get it in range for the reflection. Oh, he does get it too. Very nice. Set Zero does go down. DB able to pick up his first kill of the game.
It's a strong start for Army Jeans. A 0-3 start. Following all the kills. They're maybe not getting the most CS, but they are trading in very well.
Yeah, Q gonna drop it down to the bot lane again. The second death for the Monkey King already. Wami taking his second kill of the game, and considering how bad of a start he had in the lane, these 2 kills should help him catch up quite nicely.
Yeah, it's a great start. Once more, AG starting to find levels, starting to find that presence in the laning phase. We always talk about Motivate Trust struggling in laning into mid-game. Yeah, I figured it improved over the past few days, but it looks like it's rearing its head once more. AG just on the offensive much earlier on. Motivate Trust not quite ready to reciprocate. They are still having a good time on Jack, so I think overall for Motivate Trust, the key thing is their big cores aren't dying. They're only really losing supports, and in the end, all you want is Jackie and Fearless to kind of hit their early spikes. Everyone else can kind of toss their bodies out to get that done.
Next is in pop mid lane. Fearless, he is going to be lacking a creep wave now as it is pulled away, and the exorcism might just be wasted. Nice little play there from Azura to just understand it's not worth bringing that creep wave underneath the tier 1 with the siege creep. In the meantime, DB is being dived right now to the tier 1 tower, but he's going to be okay as Wami's rotated on the Pango. That is going to leave the off lane completely free now for Army Geniuses. Nevertheless, mid lane, Fearless just getting dived by 3 heroes, but is not going to drop. Just fine, but they do protect that tier 1 tower.
I like seeing this coming out from Motivate Trust. They finally do find that kill up top on DB, just not enough to save from Wami. No Rolling Thunder means that they couldn't really stop that deep dive in, and all the space being created for Jackie's just ridiculous. Like, our Medusa's up there in CS and in net worth as well by a substantial amount at this early point. They are building up the stacks already, so there's some good farm to clear out. Not much, but as long as the triangle stays in Motivate Trust's control, there is going to be farming issues abounding for AG. They do have a nice early triangle ward in already from AG, but they have to make sure that they can fight for those stacks sooner rather than later. They are getting levels up. Azura's level 7, has the steps ready to go, does not have the mana pool to sustain the jump in. I think we have to see the Void Spirit leave lane. Like, sure, there's a chance Fearless goes in for a push with the Exorcism, but you've got to apply some pressure. You need to shut down Jackie, make him have an awkward time building up, because we saw it in game 1, Mike. Even if the rest of the team has a rough start, Jackie will always catch up, and the investment almost always pays off.
Yeah, Barish top lane. Been caught, but with the TP, should be just fine. TP there from our Undying as well, mid lane. Azura now is trying to go for the dive in onto Fearless, but you haven't got really any way of locking him down unless Wami does get the Rolling Thunder, and that's a nice jump up. Disruption is going to try and help out Fearless, but they should have the control, but they miss everything. The cookie was not there at the right time, so Fearless is not going to take enough damage. Still trying with the step charges in, but he's healing up throughout all of it. Azura finally takes him down, but now how does he get out? He has no mana. Mystic Snake can take even more away, and eventually he should just go, although he does step charge back into the tier 3. Set Zero the one to claim the kill on the Shadow Demon.
Yeah, and Motivate Trust are starting to find those favorable trades. Again, I don't think the target has to be the DP. You need to make a move on Jack. Instead, Jackie shows mid. He'll clear out the wave. He'll start playing in the triangle as Set Zero builds up more stacks. That's going to be a bit of an issue. Jackie already having what seems to be the Dragonlance flying in, and it's going to have a lot of damage to deal. Has a split shot at 3, and they just find a freebie on LIM. So, Motivate Trust getting that presence out. AG, that early laning aggression just not transitioning to post-laning phase win yet. And I think they are being held back by having to wait for a DB to recover from his slow lane. He's at 3.6k net worth, Mike. Way behind compared to Dedusa. We talked about Dedusa having to have a net worth lead. This does set up for Jackie to hit that spike.
Absolutely. DB gonna try and catch up now in the jungle, but it's got a bit of work to do here on this Terrorblade. Very concerning signs though. We've seen this many times from Motivate. They're getting away with it quite easily so far. AG may not have the tools to try and infiltrate that Dire, or rather Radiant Triangle, anywhere near yet. Still Fearless constantly trying to pressure that mid-tier 1 tower. Does have another exorcism up. I think this time around they'll focus on top tier 1 instead. The mid-tier 1 is being protected rather heavily. Well, a nice scan out from AG. He's going to spot the rotation towards the top lane. Barish though, not spotted yet, but eventually will get found out. Purge is there. They'll lock him down long enough, I think, and he should be dead. And will be.
Gonna lead to that push. No real defense coming out from AG. Focused on maybe getting a bit of a shove in themselves. And Motivate Trust with the top tier win cleared out. Does open up lots of safe farm for Jackie. Makes it harder to invade at jungle. Jackie just holding mid. All of that breaks down. Nothing to pressure to do so. Level 10 up. So the value point in the Stone Gaze is there. Jackie's going to be protected if he does get jumped. AG will go for the bot tier 1 tower trade. Q giving some good info from the tree line. They won't be able to defend. Not going to find a kill either from AG, and they commit a lot more heroes to get that tower taken away.
Yeah. Q is going to keep stalking DB now.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
Motivate Trust. Again towards that mid-tier 1 tower. I think with the way Jackie's farming, that there won't really be too much of a necessity to really just try and barge it down, but I mean, if you can, you may as well take it. Jackie is really starting to escalate though and farm. Almost 7k net worth now, almost has the manta up. Just happily, without any kind of contest, continue going after those creeps, and now Azura somewhat surrounded, but does spot out the rotation. Down towards the bot side and does get the illusion rune. But Masteros now has the Rod of Atos up, so you've got some decent lockdown for that Void Spirit. I think it might be about time for them to try again onto that tier 1 mid, and oh, they might even do it the slow way with the Shadow Demon illusions. It is very slow. They'll get through it eventually.
Yeah. AG is not quite ready for the full clump up. They are zoning out Motivate Trust, but it's a rinse and repeat. Jackie shoves lane, goes for a push, goes back, farms triangle, rinse and repeat. They've got good wards in top jungle here as well coming out from Motivate Trust. So they can control that area. You can see AG just completely avoiding their side of the map. Playing on bot jungle, DB still trying to play catch up. And as a Terrorblade, you do want to maintain farm parity with Deuce. So you don't want to have to deal with an item advantage. DB still a long way off from kind of playing catch up. 1.7k gold is significant enough. That's a faster manta for Jackie. That's going to be more stats for Jackie, and less that DB has to deal with if they do face off. Motivate Trust just playing forward with Fearless showing. He still has the EXO ready to go, but not really looking to commit it just yet. With the travels, he can work his way around the map quite fast and just keeps finding farms. So Motivate Trust are much more efficient right now in getting gold on their other cores. Fearless is just about as farmed as DB. Only Monster is really taking a step back, but he is on a Bloodseeker. Smoke out from Motivate Trust. Let's see if they catch someone big here.
And Bloodride is there. Rod of Atos to lock down Wami. He will still be able to avoid the silence though, just in the nick of time, but with the rupture around, there's not really much he can do. He was never going to commit the Rolling Thunder, as that would not have saved. And Fearless, well, he's going to miss out on the double damage. Barish will be able to deny that away. Get for himself. Doesn't really matter though. I mean, they haven't really got an objective to play for right now on Motivate. It just seems like if Jackie's farming, there's just nothing to do at the moment. Sure, you could start working towards that top tier 2 tower, but it is still very early. I think you might at least want that level 2 exorcism to really start to get that done. You could try to hunt DB, But I think Motivate might be quite confident that this Medusa is still well and truly ahead in terms of net worth. And instead, it's going to be AG that group up as 4 now and try to make their rotation up towards the north. Ganat is going to catch Fearless. Be a nice pick for them. I'm going to wrap around the long way and get this done. Problem is, though, Set Zero is in position to break the smoke. Barely misses out, though, and it's all too late. They've got the Death Prophet. Disruption is going to buy a bit of time. Fearless, can he find a way out? He's trying. In fact, Masros is going to rotate now. They're going to force a fight out. Wukong's command is there. Rupture committed on Wami, but nobody's dead quite yet. AG, they might be able to turn again. Varish copying a lot of damage, but still alive. Jackie now to show up on the Medusa. They do it to get LYM, and now they found Varish. In fact, now Wami not out of danger yet either. Jackie going to be forced to Stone Gaze. Try and fight back against AG as well. He's going to jump back in. That might be his death, though, on DB. He's forced asunder. Blood Right's out, though. He still can't fight. He needs to get out. Prime will spring forward, keep this fight going. But he has no stun to lock down the Terrorblade. And in the end, it still seems like a Motivate Trust win.
That's a pretty massive win. Sure, you sacrifice Fearless, you have Jackie join in, pick up a couple of those kills, manage to punish Wami once more. Core-wise, not the best trade, mid for an off lane, but again, having Jackie just show up, apply that pressure is more than enough for Motivate Trust to feel good about that trade. Jackie, he's actually rushing the Ags next, so he just wants to have that stone form up. It will soften up the Terrorblade by a huge amount, and with that win, Motivate Trust goes straight into Roshan. They've got the Exorcism up, level 2 EXO. Rosh not going to last long. AG, no vision out in the Rosh pit at all. Looks like they might not be able to fight back. They are sort of in position to contest an illusional spot, but it's a bit too late.
Jackie will take the Aegis. Army Genius is backs against the wall right now. DB, you saw him in that last game, but he's just nowhere near farmed enough to really contest Motivate. And this is really concerning for AG, because it does feel like Motivate's gotten literally everything they could ask for. I mean, nothing's gone wrong yet. Nobody's behind in farm apart from maybe Maseranos, but that's a Bloodseeker. I mean, it's not really too important for him to be ahead in farm. He's going for the Ags next anyway. It's just a very utility-based Bloodseeker we're seeing from the off lane. And what do AG need to do? It just feels like their objectives are slowly going to be taking something.
They need to hit Ags. Well, actually, they do have the Ags on Azura. So they've got some presence. They need to be able to jump the back line. You can't really rely on Wami to do much with a Rolling Thunder because of the direct Bloodseeker counter pick. So what you can do is at least jump in first with a Void Spirit. Maybe if you manage to pick off the Bloodseeker, say soften him up and clean up afterwards from AG's side, that could be the way to go. And also keep trying to build up on DB. Sure, you are playing a farm war against Medusa, you're not winning that war, but the Terrorblade still has a good spike when he pops more. So you just need that Scotty timing and you feel a lot better. AG lining up for mid, there is enough heroes for Motivate to slow down that push, and they lose their top tier too. So Outpost opens up for Motivate Trust, securing the next Roshan for their way, which is still ways off. The Ags timing for Jackie, it's basically done. 200 gold away. And the Medusa Ags just makes it nearly impossible for Terrorblade to fight in, even with Metamorphosis. So that entire early spike DB has kind of gets negated because the Petrify is going to be out. It'll be a lot softer to physical damage. It's going to be a lot easier for Jackie to deal with him. And you still have no easy way of melting Jackie. We talked about maybe getting the Fusel up on Wam. You can't even farm his Blink up yet. So a long way to go until you find a way to rip through the Mana Shield.
Go. Ags up. Jackie will start moving in tier 2 tower. It's going to be a slow process, that's for sure. But again, it will eventually get done, especially if Jackie's just allowed to continue hitting away like this. Azura's going to try and jump in, but the Manta dodge is there on the Aether Rune. In fact, there's the stone out as well. They'll figure out the hard way. The Axe is there. Just continue to try and chip away at the mana pool, but it's just not going to be enough. They need to commit. Right side, the creep wave has been skipped though. So never mind, they don't need to commit. However, Tier 3 top tower's being pinged out. Motivate, they want to go all the way.
Radiant's middle tower is under
Can't fault them. They've got Aegis up for 2 more minutes. The Jack is really strong. Exorcism's up as well. And AG's team fight is just not enough to handle Jackie unless they get a really good initiation here.
Tier 3's dropping fast. I mean, they dropped the tombstone. That's not even reaching Motivate now. I guess it's kind of hurting the illusions. That's one. Q. Oh, pre-cut down. They found the support Monkey King, but Q has a BKB up, so he's just going to be able to run out of there just fine. Rupture out onto Wami. He needs to stop rolling, and he will. But the chase is still on. Blood Riot out. Down. Not going to be enough. He is still alive, just barely on 40 HP. He is going to make it. Boy, oh boy, that was close. So try again on the Death Prophet. Main source of damage right now is going to be Jackie, who is still not dying. Out of mana. He might back off, but the thing is, he's got the Aegis up. He wouldn't mind a free reset right now. Like, he's kind of invited him to take his life. Still rushing forward, eventually will finally die. LYM in the meantime will get picked off by Matsuros. There'll be a buyback force immediately. Thunder is out from DB. Not sure for what though. They do find Wami. Zura still trying. You don't pop the meta, but the Stone Gaze is there, petrifying up. DB forced to run away. LYM's gonna die back. Matsuros, he does sound up the Terrorblade. They are still really struggling to try and defend this tower, these Raptors. More buybacks fly in, Motivate. They might really back Azura. He does get in, find Matsuros. He's been petrified again, trying to find a way out. He's been silenced. He has no step charges anyway. Meanwhile, Wami trying to go in on them. Dusa. He might die to the right click though. One will do it. He will rule out DB. He'll keep the fight going. But Jackie's just happy to stand there and keep right clicking people. With the amount of packs committed, I'm not sure a successful fight for Army Geniuses. They committed a lot to defend that high ground, and Motivate, they'll be back later on for more.
They do hold on AG to get to try to catch up a little bit longer. The lead is at 9k now for Motivate Trust, and well, they miss out on the double damage, changes into the Arcane Rune now. So I think they might have been able to go for more. Motivate Trust, no rush. Just take a step. Now, wait for the next Roshan. We're going to see the respawn in 2 minutes. That will give them time to finish up the study on G, and that's where things really get dicey for Army Geniuses. They're not going to be able to deal with a raw stat of Jackie. They still don't have the best damage coming through from DV. His study's almost done to 12, but Motivate Trust probably not going to wait. Just smoke up and look for a pickoff.
Motivate's Blood Riot found the strike. They've held on the Void Spirit, and well, he's got no way to purge up the silence, but the Lotus Orb is going to come in. Wami, he'll save his Q. He's going to be... But in the meantime, they do get them tier 2 tower. Wami, they'll go Thunder out. Stone Gaze, it'll be committed. Petrifies up the Pango roll. Wami should still be okay, but in the meantime, this Void Spirit has been double silenced up. But again, the Lotus Orb is going to allow him to get it. Has he gone too far? Not quite. He is still fine. He's trying to fight this one out with the reflection. It's just not anywhere near enough. Now the Wukongs is there. So them out. Have they got anyone? It's going to be Azura, and he's been petrified and eventually will drop. It'll be the time back. Motivate, do they want to force high ground?
The Void Spirit, the high ground holds really good for AG. Motivate Trust can just rip right through. And I never considered this. Well, I guess we can discuss this later, but the racks are going to fall soon. AG, options limited. Morpheus is on DB. His damage output isn't great. He will have Guardian flying in. Maybe it's enough. It doesn't feel like it.
I mean, right now, the Raxus are being kind of split. Fearless cannot do this on his own with right click, so Jackie has to kind of intervene and help out. Alice is going to be there on Sawami, but they do not care for the heroes right now. They just want the buildings. Still a very, very slow push here to Motivate. But they will get at least one Rax eventually. Another Rolling Thunder's be there from Wami. Jackie is able to walk out, but the Eye of Sky slow is proving to be quite painful. He needs help. Wami's going to be there. Stonegaze is not going to be enough, and they do get through the Medusa. The Eye of Sky is proving to be enough. Now they will even lose Fearless on the Death Prophet.
Yeah. They get really big kills in the ground hold this time from AG, and we are seeing the body do a lot of work now. That slow makes it hard for Jack to just get out of the fight. They're gonna have to contend with the Terrorblade hitting its power spike. They trust still not taking the racks, right? Like, range racks, melee racks still stand, so AG are gonna be very satisfied with the defense. Lead down to just 5k for Motivate Trust. Roshan, 2 minutes out. So Motivate Trust can again take the foot off the pedal, just take it slow, keep firing, hit your own Scotty timing on the Dusa, and maybe just line up for the next Roshan. I think that's going to be the safe play.
Saros, mid lane, he's been caught out, not quite dead yet, but is surrounded. Will drop AG. Starting to get aggressive now, feeling the momentum, the switch up in the game. It's DB. Hitting a lot harder on the Terrorblade now. Motivate, it feels like they're lacking some damage, at least for structures. Is that another Eye of Skadi we're seeing here? Jackie's got a point boost queued up.
Pretty much, he just kind of bought out. The 2 old orbs are already on his courier, hiding in the tree line. He just lead by it and just have that. We talked about farm parity earlier on for the Dusa. You have that 2k lead, but at 26 minutes in, it's not that much anymore. You do have net worth advantage. In the end, the only item you have ahead here on the Dusa is really the Ags. Otherwise, you've got Manta, Dragonlance, Scotty. Basically the same thing that DB has minus the Dragonlance. So that's where the net worth difference lies. And again, we talked about how long's the Metamorphosis up now for DB. He's got the damage output. He's got that greater presence with what he can do, and for Motivate Trust, they've got a way to handle that terror. When he just manages to focus in, if stopping that from coming true onto Jackie. Still, they will reach Ag's timing and Monstros, and I think Double Rupture helps the cause. Just holding back Wami and perhaps holding back Azura, or even just holding back Terrorblade. Can't make that work. It does allow me to talk about point. I never realized, right, like with the way Sun works, the way Mana Shield works, that Mana Shield actually blocks Sunder damage.
Oh,
as swap. You notice that, right? DB would run up, try to Sunder, and suddenly they're both high HP. Because all the damage, all the HP Jackie would lose in that exchange, instead goes on to the Mana Shield. So you can't even swap Sunder to try to break down Jackie, which just looks ridiculous. Because it should be direct HP swap, but it's one of those things. The interaction can be, you know, a bit of a beta game kind of thing.
That's a feature, John. A beta game. It's a feature. Everything's on purpose in Twitter. Nothing's an accident. Roshan is the second Roshan of the games. The chart along with the apes.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
AG not quite aware of Roshan. I don't necessarily think Motivate are either. I say that they are huddled up in the triangle, and well, now the Roshan's going to walk right out of the pit. So both teams should be very well aware as Motivate has smoked in, going to try and get it started. Of course, AG can allow this to go down as it will immediately try to high ground again. If they do manage to pick up this Aegis, it's too long. Wami will run Thunder in, stun out. This is a good opportunity to just lock down the Medusa, but the top is there. They'll save Jackie's life, at least for a little bit. Stun's still going out though, but Wami's dead. The Rupture just makes him bleed out. Roshan though still going down. Aegis on the Wami to take it on the death prop. Meanwhile, Deep is still trying to fight this one out, but he's only aiming cute on the Monkey King, so Jackie can get right back to work. He's trying to this Medusa. The Fearless will get started on that Terrorblade, and they've played him up. DB's in trouble. We'll get the Sun right in the nick of time. The Mastodon was there from the final tick of damage. DB might have another chance to kill off Jackie. So Jackie's still alive. You accept it will protect, but in the end, the Medusa will go down. You kill off Barish. DB shoot up another time. They cancel TP. They can. Balance was there, and eventually TP will drop. It's on the LYM. They should be able to have Snapfire, and they will. It's actually a full team wipe. Only survivor being Barish, and he brought back on the Undying.
Yeah, that's a bit awkward for AG. It looked like a good fight. Hitting down Jack is great, but eventually it is a full team wipe coming out for Motivate Trust. Heck, more than a team wipe buyback on Snap. So Motivate Trust get what they want. There's some fun interactions now. Putting Ag Shard on Fearless. And that fear coming out when you channel the Spirit Siphon for long. That's what killed DB. Because he was ruptured up. I was wondering, why is DB running? Alright. The shard went the way of Fearless. So you've got that great interaction now, which is amplified by the fact that you've got the Ags up on Monsteros. So you can, what you basically do now is rupture 2 heroes, Spirit Siphon 2 heroes, watch them run and kill themselves.
Barish is in caught out with, and going to be committed by Q, and that'll be Undying gone as now Zura. So he's going to try and pick off Set Zero, but he's been used up. Beast does get the silence, that'll force out BKB, but they got Set Zero down. Zura, he will be able to TP in time. Wami is also okay to roll. Q is trying to keep tabs on where this Pango's going. Actually, just kind of leave him be and back off. But back to your point, John, that is a rather interesting way of playing this out. I gotta admit, I haven't seen the Death of Shards, mostly because we don't see the hero very often these days. And even then, I prioritize picking up the shards, but that is a pretty cool interaction with the rupture.
That is. I mean, again, it killed off DV. I was just wondering, why is he running back? I saw the fear status there. Alright, Fearless one, giving fear to everyone else. I don't know if it's something you can reliably pull off every time, because it's asking for a lot. It is still really strong and does provide some good scaling for both the Bloodseeker and the DP. Speaking of scaling though, Jackie about to hit his MKB spike, so that might fix the damage issues. He's going to be able to consistently hit out, not miss his shots, and just have some bonus proc as well with the damage coming through. So it does feel a lot better for the Dusa, of course, negating that evasion talent that DB has had. You can see just missing a couple of hits for the Dusa does hurt a ton.
DB gonna be under. No one. He's got the Quell out. Revatos there, blood right. DB's gonna have to think through this. He's already just the man ruptures out. He's gonna be forced to man fight this one. Sunder, it did not work out in his favor. He's gonna drop.
No buyback.
What did he Sunder? And then on that, because Azura's been chased down now. He has another charge 3 seconds. He's gonna be okay to back it up, but like you mentioned, John, DB's without buyback. He doesn't have gold. That should mean one lane of barracks at least. AG gonna try their best to hold on and just clear out the creep wave. You know, never mind, Motivate, they are lacking a creep wave now to the high ground. But backdoor hasn't kicked in yet, so they still have a bit of time.
Yeah, they finally do clean up the top racks, which they've kind of failed to pierce for the past 2 fights. So backdoor kick in now, so they are forced to back off. I think, if I saw that right, I think DB tried the Sunder and he popped his BKB mid-cast animation. So it went through but did nothing because Sunder doesn't cure spell immunity.
Right.
Oh, Kwame.
Be alright. Purge's tempo is slowed up quite heavily as he will go into the roll-up, but you've got the rupture.
Oh, no.
Can the TP finish? Not quite. And what he was kind of just stuck. He had no other option. He had to try, but he's also without buyback now. It's Pango. That is a though. To be fair, not a gold problem here for Wami.
Yeah. Have stalled out long enough for the Terrorblade to be back up, Mike. So I think in the end, you sacrifice and you get the TV back up. You're in a decent position for AG. Like DB is your main hitter. You kind of want him to be ready to go for the defense. Metamorphosis still down for a minute, so that can't make it a bit awkward, but there is enough time for them to just regroup and go for another set of defense fights. Still Jackie started on the high ground, feeling confident with the MKB up there.
Yeah, ruptured immediately. He DB. He's gonna have to wait out that duration, but they've lost the tier 3 tower while that's going on. Where's now? Jump. Azura is gonna try, but disruption is there. Now the rupture out onto Azura. Will be forced to step charge away. Nice denying the racks by DB. Fair enough. I'm not sure Jackie was worried about the gold. I mean, why not, right? Take everything you can. Problem is, he's gone. It took him, and now DB. He's found it. He'll try to fight, but he cannot. He goes down with that buyback. They're on the tier 4 towers, and AG's called. AG, they've seen enough. Must still get a victory. Jackie drops to 99 in style.
What do we trust winning? It's at 5 games now. Be in their best of 5. Here, a nice clean sweep coming out from AG. They put up a good fight. Game 2 maybe not as close, but game 1.